Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. No camera today, as I was preparing to make a video on this. However, the situation is so pertinent, so dire, that I just had to come here and record this just for you. Before that, though, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Now, let's get down to what's going on. Okay, I'm sure we're all well aware of the elephant in the room. That is how whale-centric this event is. Not even whale-centric, I would say. That's a little bit hyperbolic. More, it is not free-to-play friendly, which feels really bad for an event that only comes around not that often. So, what is the big issue here? Well, let's go to the fight here. The boss, Lethe, or however you say it. And you see some Luluka here. Mine is a B imprint. I pulled 2 of them. And you get a little bonus here. So let's say you have no imprint, just have 1 copy of the new Luluka. And she gets some attack and health bonus, some effectiveness bonus, which is nice because that means you can cover the boss's ER without having any on her. And you also decrease the boss's memory fragment level by 1. Now, what is this memory fragment mechanic? Well, right here you see the very good-looking boss right here. This memory fragment level 3, unique effect. After being attacked, has a 50% chance to increase attack for 2 turns before activating freeze. And freeze is right here. It says attacks all enemies with a water prison, dispelling all buffs and inflicting ominous omen, a unique effect, and deep sea curse, also a unique effect. Notable that these cannot be cleansed in normal ways before inflicting frostbite, which is frostbite, and restrict for 3 turns. Also increases speed of the caster for 3 turns, and this starts with no cooldown. So the way you get rid of the deep sea curse is you have to use a area of effect attack that is not on the basic skill. Ominous omen you cannot get rid of, as far as I know. So every time you decrease the level of the memory fragment, and the only way you can do that is by using the new Luluka, it decreases the chance the boss has to counterattack, and therefore also the chance that the boss has to proc all those other things. So at a B imprint, I do it by 2 levels, and with an A, you reduce it by 3 levels. In any case, it means that having more imprints greatly increases your ability to do this fight. It is, even for me, not always easy to do this with just a B rank Summon Luluka. Now, people with the triple S Lulukas, right, where they get these insane bonuses right here, it's like your team is doing like more damage. They're like taking less damage. You can just monk your way through the fight, right? It doesn't matter. But for plebs who only have, 1 or 2 Summon Lulukas, you're gonna struggle. And a lot of the times, gear is going to be a big difference in how things go. So, this is the team I'm using right now to auto level 4. So, let's just start the run here. It is pretty consistent. It's not the fastest team in the world. So, let's just see it run right here. See, I decreased by 2 levels. And click on his here. So it has a 10% chance at level 1 to do its like bonus thing. Rowana is a really big key part. Probably the best hero you can have besides Summon Luluka. There are some people who have been using Rowana in the leader slot here at the back instead of Summon Luluka for level 4. You need some specific heroes to do that, so I don't have to do that at the moment, and it makes it easy for me because I have the artifact on Summon Luluka too. Now, this is a pretty slow process. The big issue, besides needing some Luluca at a high imprint, basically, if you don't want to have a hard time, is how much damage the boss does. So bosses can just kind of one-shot your units out of nowhere. Like right here, they do a lot of damage. And thankfully she missed there, whatever. And also, the fact that the boss has an enraged timer, which is pretty, I would say, strict overall. I think if they let you have one more rotation on the boss, it would be a lot easier. But at the moment, it is difficult to both be tanky enough and to do enough damage, I would say, if you don't have a lot of some Lulucas. So this run right here is going pretty well at the moment. Rowana is definitely doing her thing. But you see here that she still has, a significant amount of HP left. Remember that she will transition, which it gets down to half HP. And this particular setup has no defense break, unfortunately. So it is not as fast as maybe I would want it to be. But for the first stage, it being more consistent overall than quick, I think is a little bit better. Especially when I can just background auto these fights and leave it alone. For the time being, it's more the second stage where you kind of want it to speed along. As long as you're doing enough damage to beat the enraged timer. You see Violet in the front with, I have a green Rin I've been using, and also a lone Crescent Bellona, who is the lone Moonlight that I'm using right now for this particular encounter. I will give you some alternatives after we see everything's going on. Now, this team here does require a little bit of RNG. The boss doesn't really care about elemental advantage or disadvantage or anything like that. And she also will put target buff, debuff, on units too. So she does have a not insignificant chance of hitting Violet. But you see, right now he has Gab because of the Rin, and he's definitely shredding the boss's HP right there. So this one is definitely more about speed, doing things quickly, and I have to because I don't have Rowana on this team to back them up. But again, relatively, see right there, she did a lot of damage to Violet, but that lifesteal is definitely keeping me healthy and very good. And we get some of these. I heard that gear can drop, but I have yet to get a piece of gear. Alright, let's go through the units now. Very quickly, let's go through the particular ones. The Rowana is right here, and these are her stats. I'll go over all the gear really quickly so you just see what I'm working with. The Rowana is pretty well geared, actually. Here's the Luluca. She's just on some spare gear I had, so nothing particularly special. This is the Rin. Again, more spare gear. Is counter set better on her? I don't know. This artifact here, Touch of Echoes, proved to be pretty nice for that little extra bonus protection and heal. Do you want some effectiveness on her? As she has your defense break for that fight. If you don't really have her built up or a lot of molas to invest in, is she worth it? I don't know, right? You can probably get by with just another type of hero. But I had a few, so I tossed them into her. Also, she looks good, right? She's always been a hero that I've liked aesthetically. So, then we also have the green Violet. The crit chance is a little bit lower than I wanted to be, but this is the gear that I have on him. Okay, now that I look at this gear, it's actually like not half bad. But that's what we have. Here is the Landy. She's on Bloodstone. This is my PvP Landy. Now, notably, this gear is pretty good at your triple S. So, and then we have the Charles. So, Elber's counters that typical stuff you want. Again, another unit with a triple S imprint. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately. So, go over his gear right here. And this is okay gear. Okay, some of it is pretty good, some of it is okay. And then we have the Lone Moonlight that I've been using, which was the Lone Crescent Bellona. And this is a unit I actually had to re-gear for this fight, as before she was on some sort of like ER build. So I put the pen on just for this fight. And here is her gear. This neck is really bad. But unfortunately, all the other pen necks I have has a lot of crit chance on it. So there we go. And yeah, so those are the stats there. I would definitely say the gear is significantly better than I feel most people will have on their accounts. Now, endgame players, right? Like, they'll have gear that is just as good as this. So this is not really for them. This is for the normal player who might be playing, not really casually, but might not have been playing for years on end like a lot of us have. And maybe you don't even have some of these units, right? Maybe you don't have Lone Crescent Bellona. So in that case, let's go over some alternatives that people have been using for this content. And now some of the alternatives people have been using. Some people have been using Alencia here. She gets that bonus from the Mind's Eye with effectiveness. I feel you really want to have a damage one, so like on Destruction or on Speed set, instead of the Injury set, because Injury doesn't do anything to the boss. Alencia is notably a lot better on Manual, as you can Soul Burn the S1 to get a 2-turn defense at 100% chance. So, yeah, it's something to think about. People have been using Rimuru. He has the buff steal, where he can, steal all those buffs the enemy is giving herself. The S3 has a defense break. He does a lot of damage, so people have also been trying out Green Bellona, who is okay. I tried it a little bit too. She doesn't quite AoE with her passive enough in order to really have a major effect. She's graced right now. The biggest issue is that her S1 passive here, where she deals more damage to the enemy's max health, is turned off because the boss is immune to Daydream Joker-like effects. So, that's not the greatest thing in the world, but she's okay. People also been trying out... I don't have him here, but the Great Mortalix apparently is pretty good for the fight. People have also been using Seaside Bellona, as she has the S2 AoE, and also with the defense break there, she also used the S3 for another AoE, which is very nice. Now, I don't use her because she's on my one-shot team, and I don't really want to ungear one-shot units that I have built up if I can help it. But people also been using Fat Cat, or Assassin Cartuja. I also tried him a little bit myself. He works okay. He's more of a thing where if you're kind of bulky and need some more like RNG to help you out, he's not a bad option. Other units people have been testing are more evasion units. So people have been using things like Aiden, Bended Violet, where, they get hit a couple of times, they die, but they do a lot of damage. And sometimes clearing things quickly at a less consistent pace is better. So those are some of the other options people have been using. And I'm sure as time goes on, people will find more ways to beat the boss. But right now, those are just the ones that have come up. And now for level 5. So this is the team I use for level 5. It was manual, of course. And all you get, really, is you get some war currency. And you get this sticker here, which you can only beat by being level 5. You only do it one time. And that's really it. It's a really cute sticker. I like it. Is it worth it to bend you back over to, beat this? I don't know. If you feel like you can do it, then yes, right? It's definitely worth it for it. But if you're like a newer player and, you can actually beat level 4, hey, good for you. This is definitely where the more whale territory gets into. Also, it is almost impossible to do this without having Luluka in the main slot. People have done auto teams with level 4 without her, using Rawada instead. But for level 5, I think, like, I know of one person from word of mouth that has done this without her. So these are teams I use. I'll show you the gear after this, but Rowana, Shu, Luluka, and Summer Luluka, then Landy, Violet, Karina, and Luluka for the second team. Now, notably, there are no MO5s, but I do have a limited collab hero here. But I would say that Karina is the most replaceable unit on this entire list. She just works pretty well the way I have her geared up. So I will show you the gear right now. Remember that I already showed you Rowana, Summer Luluka, Landy, and Violet. So we'll be showing you the Shu, Luluka, and Karina. So let's go back to my game, and I will show you. It's right there. Okay, here we go. The Shu, and just my typical PvP Shu. Only a B imprint, actually. I haven't got a lot of shoes. I didn't have the B gear at all. And the gear isn't even that great. Okay, it's like it's a pretty good gear, but not on pen set. Now, she does a lot of damage. Even without any defense break, she just rips through the boss. And if she gets lucky and counters a bunch, it's over. So definitely a pretty good pusher for doing it on manual. On auto, when I've been running her, she's not quite as good. Definitely better options. But for a manual fight, especially when you can soul burn the S1 if you really have to push that extra damage, definitely something you want to consider about. The other unit we used that was different was the Karina. And like I said, this is the one that probably be replaced the most. So, and that's because my Karina particularly has some effectiveness on her. And that means that she was able to pretty consistently debuff the boss. Of course, on manual, a lot better because this increases to 100% chance instead for 2 turns, which was actually a pretty big deal for a 10 soul burn when you get it, where you can push more damage onto the boss. And you definitely want to be pushing that damage because the boss is going to really, really hurt if you let her go on for too long. And then finally, the final unit we used, besides the ones I showed you before, was the blue Luluka. I believe this artifact was different than Violin when I did it, but this is what I had on her for some other testing, but these are stats right here. I'll show you the gearing. Notably, this gear is pretty good for a unit I only use for PvE, but you know what? Luluka is one of my favorite heroes in the game. She was the first 5-star that I got on this account too, besides obviously the starter ones. So definitely something you might want to think about. Not bad too on auto. The main issue is that she kind of dies a lot, even with these stats here. Even on level 4, she can just get like, 2-tapped by the boss, so definitely something you might want to consider. Obviously, getting the effectiveness too to cover the boss's ER is pretty important when you have her as your primary defense breaker. To show you the difference between the imprints, we have my alt account, which is a, pretty newish account. You can tell because it's only rank 68, not rank 70. And I have been doing a little bit of level 4 here. So, it's not the flashiest or the fastest clears in the world, but, it works. Sometimes I might fail, a little bit here, and it kind of hurts because it's, again, not that fast. But see right here, I do have a couple of clears already. And this one looks like it's also going to clear. And I will show you the gear that my alt is using, as well as the first team after this one finishes here. So let's just watch it and, see how long it takes for me to finish off the boss. And that's it. So we have the clear there, and these are teams that I used. We will show you the gearing now, and you will notice that the gear on this account, which can clear level 4, I haven't tried level 5 yet, but it can clear level 4, consistently, and this is what I have going on it. So first off, the Ocean Breeze Luluka, who is A imprint. And remember, with an A imprint, you turn off the boss's counterattack passive completely. This is a really big deal. And this is the gear that I have on her. You see that she is a lot tankier than my main account build, because this one just relies on all HP. I don't really have the ER for the more PvP-centric builds. So this is just purely for PvE, basically, almost. But, maybe in lower tier PvP, too, it could work. And this is the gear I have in her. We have this arena thing. Here we have this, which is actually pretty good. This here, this necklace, which is not even reforged. And then we have 2 free pieces of health set gear. So, what about the Rowana? Well, here we go. First of all, the Rowana, it doesn't even have any moles in her. So, I'm probably going to change that. Let's do that right now, actually. But this is her gear. Like, look at this. Free health gear. Free health gear. Free health gear. Free health gear. More free gear. And this piece of gear that I got randomly from, I don't remember where, but, only piece of reforged gear I have on the whole thing. 4 pieces of health set. And an artifact that's not even leveled up. Okay, what else is this thing using? Well, you saw a Landy, right? And the Landy, well, look at this. 15 Bloodstone. Only B imprint. Unreforged, right? This is actually pretty good. Also unreforged. Another unreforged piece of gear. More unreforged gear, right? Even this thing here, it has like 8% of ER. Like, what a total waste, right? One of them had limited effectiveness here, too, right? So, like, not the greatest gear on this Landy. What else are we using? We are using Blue Luca, who's actually pretty well geared. She has the Midnight Bloom. She is the Grace of Growth on this account. But Blue Luca's gear for PvE this is actually pretty good, right? So, and the gear has to be good because she's the one that is defense breaking for that stage, so she wants that effectiveness. And the crit chance is kind of low, but this and her element, well, the element doesn't do anything, but it's a Midnight Bloom that helps out a little bit there. What else were we using? We were using Light Aiden. So here we go. I don't even have a 30 Moonlight Dreamblade because I only have pulled 2 on this entire thing here. So her gear is reforged, and her gear is decent. This is as a 73 piece of gear because I don't have any good crit damage necklace on crit set right on this account. And this is from the arena, right? Is this good? It's actually better than I feel like most arena boots are, but it's not great. This is the ring from the WC, so this one rolled particularly well, but what else are we using here? We're using the DN, and look at this, unreforged, right? It has like a bunch of flat health, has some crit damage. But here, like, this is actually a cracked piece of gear. This is the highest gear score piece I have on both of my accounts. Now, it has all this attack. This is great for Senya, by the way, which is what this account is going to use it on. But you know what? It's just a stat stick for her. This here, a particularly good piece of gear for the end? No, but whatever. It will work. Not reforged, also not really good for the end. And then we have 2 more pieces of health set. It's just that you saw... Oh, also the Mui, right? I will think I'll use it. Look, the Mui is just on the free attack set I put him on for Wyvern and this arena ring for the effectiveness. That's it. His defense sucks, but it doesn't matter because of the imprint Samuluka doing all the work. This is like terrible gear. Like, you saw how like well geared my main account was, and this account, it's using, arguably worse units for the entire thing, with much worse gear overall, and it's clearing it at least level 4, just fine. It's just, like, the difference between the two is so drastic, that it makes me kind of upset. Okay, and now the opposite problems with the whole thing is, well, how whale-friendly it is. Right here, you see, I just did this how many times did I do this? 5 times here. Oh, whoops, let's go back. And I got 2 pieces of epic gear. Now, is this good gear? Well, this one isn't. This one could have some potential, right? There's some characters that might want something like this, but now, is this lucky having 2 in these fights? Yeah, because before this, I've literally got no epic gear at all in any of my runs. So these are literally the first 2 pieces of epic gear I've gotten. So I don't really know what the actual rates are, but the fact that you can buy the gear too with the currency, and it's always epic, is a big deal. On top of that, people who have more copies of the artifact are even in a better state because they get even more currency. My artifact is only level 15, so well, 1 imprint, so I only get 10%. People who have a maxed imprinted artifact, well, they get 40% bonus currency. Now, obviously, too, things like your pet and everything will also affect it. But hey, pets is something that people over time can just naturally get, hopefully. This is a limited artifact that he had to pull, like, right now. And the problem is, the artifact itself isn't even, like, a terrific artifact that I would recommend you chase after. It's just an okay artifact that is particularly good in the niche, right? So if you get lucky and you pull a bunch of them, good for you. Unfortunately, I did not. I did have to buy from the shop, and you know it is what it is. But yeah, I don't really think that this would be as big of an issue if the efficiency of farming this mode seemed to be pretty good with people who had whaled out, right? If hey, you just get like a shop and you can buy things like Advent. So people generally don't like Advent. Because of its difficulty, but they tolerate it because they know even if they are a free-to-play player or a newer player and they can only do maybe level 1, level 2, that they will be able to buy out most of the things in the shop. And that's it, right? Nobody really has that big of an advantage over anybody else. Maybe like efficiency levels, right? Like maybe the whale will spend less energy overall to buy the shop, but people will get there eventually. Here, people who can farm this consistently definitely have a huge advantage over people who cannot, and people who spent more have an advantage over people who did not. And I think for a PvE event, this is a problem, and I think a lot of people agree with me here. So, I really hope that something like this doesn't happen again. It just is not a good look for the game, in my opinion. I also want to say, do not harass any of the community managers about this. They have no control over what upper level Smilegate is doing. They are probably just as annoyed as all of us about the situation. This is just basically a, hey, what is going on and what I think about the situation type deal. Anyway, Neptune. It's been a good one. Nep out.